As storytellers, we believe in applying what we have learned, and today we're going to demonstrate for you. We're going to be going back to writing, and we are going to be writing a scene. So we're going to give myself 10 minutes on the clock to complete the scene. Now this is a rough draft of the scene, so I don't need to make it Hollywood ready. What I need to do is make sure that the scene functions and that the characters are all playing their own part. This is a scene from a project that we have been developing, so I'm not going in blind. And with that, I'm going to set the scene for you. It's a military mission in Iraq during the height of the U.S. war, where in the early 2000s, our main character is named Wallace, who is the second in command of this particular unit. His rival is Seymour, who is the commanding officer of this team, and just a little backstory, they both were up for the promotion to becoming commanding officer, and so when Seymour got it, there was a competition there, and so that is why he is his nemesis. The team is rounded out with Caleb, who is the muscle of the group, Colton, who is the sniper, and George, who is the rookie. And last thing before the writing starts is the context. The team has just had to fight their way through an enemy checkpoint, but during that firefight, they lost one of their members, Ramiro. With that, they're on their way to a hostile village, and that is where we will be picking up. And the last thing I wanted to mention is during this video, if you do see me holding this up, this is just my note card that we use here to give me the basics of the scene. So I have what needs to happen in the scene, and then on the back I have the choice. So with our scene, we're going to be putting a choice before our character of he has to either reveal that he has an unstable mind, he is suffering from PTSD, or he has to go along with and agree with his nemesis. And then right at the bottom we have this negative to negative, and that's just to show what the result is of the scene itself. So it starts on a negative note with the death of Ramiro, and it needs to get to an even more negative place with the choice between these two options. So that is what this card is for. It's just to give me the basics. That way I don't have to look back through my notes and look at, the entire outline. I can just look at the only thing that I need to know for this scene. With that, let's start the timer. Okay, timer started. So we are going to start with, of course, a scene heading, which is our interior. And we go to a scene description, which is the Badgers are in driving, or the Badgers drive to toward the village. And so I think our first character who should speak here is the commanding officer, Seymour. And with the firefight just having broken out, he probably would ask for like what happened during the firefight to cause the death of Ramiro. So we'll give him just a commanding, what happened? Wallace probably being the second in command and the one who in the story actually was the one to start the firefight. They were trying to pass undetected as locals, but they weren't able to, and it was Wallace's fault. And he probably would just tell the truth. I think he would just tell the truth. They made me. To me, the obvious follow-up question would be how, right? Seymour would ask how they did that. And again, keeping it to quick, one word, two, very short sentences as far as dialogue just makes the scene flow a little bit faster. And I think here Wallace is, like we said, our choice is either letting them know that he has PTSD, or agreeing with Seymour is that he's not going to obviously make that choice at the beginning of the scene. So we will have Wallace kind of beat around the bush here at the beginning and just say something generic. They saw the gun, implying that he didn't hide it very well. Probably would imply that the bad guys were focusing, abnormally on like the contents of the car when they weren't expecting this. And I think here we would kind of give Wallace a little bit of Wallace and Seymour a break by having Colton come in with the question of like, that checkpoint was not on the intel that they were given for this mission. And this would this would change the conversation and bring it into a different place, because if they just keep on going back and forth between Seymour and Wallace on like how did it happen, and just kind of asking how and why over and over again, that would just be boring. So we're going to move the conversation onto the idea that their intel is outdated, right? And so with Colton saying that, then probably we'll give Caleb a line in here just about like intel's bad, or maybe just intel's old. We'll just say that, and then that way we are now into this new avenue of this scene, giving us a different way to go. Running low on time. So Seymour probably would come back with something, befitting of a commanding officer, of like, then that changes how we have to do this. And I think here with if I have Wallace saying I wasn't ready, I think we have kind of a double meaning here, where Wallace would say, in saying this, I wasn't ready, he's really meaning that he was not ready for this mission, because of his mental state. But the rest of them are reading it as just he wasn't ready for the firefight. And I think Seymour would berate him for that. And I think Wallace, in this moment, I think he would make the decision to do the right thing, which would be something that would allude to his mental state of, I think he would say, I'm not right up here, and point to his head, implying his mental state, but they're once again going to misread it. Maybe we'll get right. Get right, because Wallace said, I'm not right. And Wallace looks at Seymour and decides not to. I'm cheating, I know. Decides against his, and just nods. Okay, yes, I cheated with a few extra seconds, but we got essentially the scene. Thank you for watching. I hope that this was instructional, and as always, keep writing.